Triple P actually comes as a blessing in disguise. And by that I mean it's a good thing that I didn't know about this when I was doing my live stream talking about Mark Robinson and all of his degenerate behavior until it got to the part where I let people come up and speak to the topic at hand. And since someone did bring that to my attention while on the panel, and shout out to that individual, hopefully they're watching, I said, I can turn this into a Triple P and keep the party rolling. So in case y'all are unaware, Mark Robinson, with all of his stuff that's got going on, that's actually what I'm asking if you are aware about. But the most recent thing that has come out about Mark Robinson is that his campaign staff has quit on him. Now, I don't know for certain until I read the article if it's his entire staff or just part of his staff. And if it's part of his staff, it probably won't be long until it's in his entire staff that leaves. And this is all that is occurring because of the results of what came out from CNN and all of that stuff they found out about him. Again, if you look at the live stream, you'll see and hear me go through all of the details. We go through these screenshots. It's his own fault. One, because again, of his deviant like behavior, and two, you left the digital paper trail. You used the same username and email for years on all of these sites, and all of it led right back to you. So again, this is his own fault. So let's get into this article coming from The Independent. Embattled North Carolina gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson is reportedly down to just a single-digit number of paid campaign staffers after the bulk of his team abandoned his bid for the governor's office in the wake of a damaging CNN investigation. So that told me what I needed to hear right there. And it's crazy because it's almost entirely all of them. They said down to a single digit, so you're talking about 9 or less. And it makes me curious, I don't know if the article is going to explain it or not, how many did he have on his campaign staff prior to this happening? I'm assuming it was definitely more than 9. Robinson was the focus of an investigation by the network's K-File unit on Thursday. A report published by CNN revealed an extensive history of comments on an adult site called New to Africa under an email address and username, both known to be linked to him. Of course, we all know by now because of how many times it was said and written in the articles that his username was Mini Soldier. The comments, which touched on a wide range of topics, were outrageous and shocking. In one, he apparently referred to himself as a black Nazi. Though Robinson posted a video message on Thursday denying making the comments, he has faced calls from his fellow Republicans to prove that CNN defamed him with false information or drop out of the race. So they're telling him, his own constituents are telling him, Mark Robinson, if this stuff that they're saying about you is not true, you need to reach out to CNN and see if you can get a defamation suit, which is the same thing that I said in my live. If none of this is true, why hasn't he taken out a defamation suit against CNN if this is some damaging information? The fact that he has not done that is going to lead the public to believe that this is actually true. To be honest, he was already guilty in the court of public opinion anyway because of stuff he said recently outside of what CNN found. So they're giving him an ultimatum. Either you call CNN and reach out to them and tell them it's not true and to take out a lawsuit against them for defaming your character, or drop out of the race altogether. Like, that's literally his only two options. The fact that he's still staying in there with all of this and he has not done the former, which is to call CNN and see what's going on. He's rather staying in because someone said in my live, he knows that if he drops out, that would be his admission of guilt. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're already guilty, whether you decide to stay in or not. It's just the fact that you want to keep your dignity in. Well, dignity, that's something I don't think he has. But yeah, it's really nothing I can say that could save this dude. And honestly, I don't want to save him. Honestly, there's nothing anyone in lamestream media, none of his constituents, none of them can do to save this dude from himself. And over the weekend, his problems multiplied. A statement from the Robinson campaign Sunday afternoon indicated that his entire senior staff had resigned. WUNC further reported that the resignations were much deeper than the statement admitted. According to the news outlet, just 3 paid staffers remained employed by the Robinson campaign as of Sunday. 3. They might as well say all then. So I'm saying, I said 9 or less, but I didn't realize it was 3. He's almost down to none. Once he has none left at this point, yeah, he's pretty much done. And like I said, I feel absolutely nothing for this dude. How could you? How could you, with all the stuff that came out about him, with this recent stuff, but even the stuff we've been talking about with him over the last few months to a year that we've known about this guy. Anyone who's in North Carolina, anytime I ask someone in North Carolina, even in a joking way, how do y'all feel about Mark Robinson? They loathe this man probably just as much as the people in South Carolina don't like Tim Scott. Robinson has denied that he would drop out of the race and accused the Democrats of manufacturing the allegations. But it's crazy because it's the conservatives who are believing this information and are telling you to drop out. Now, if they didn't believe it, they would say stay in. Conservative operatives tuned into the race reacted to the news not with surprise but with resignation this past week, as many seem to indicate that the lion's share of the accusations had been circulating in private for months. So even they believed that this stuff was true even before it started to really trickle out the way that it did. They just held on to him for as long as they could, probably banking that this stuff wouldn't spill out the way that it did. But now that it has, they can't, their hands are tied. They can't do nothing to save you. So he can sit up there and blame the Democrats all he wants, but at the end of the day, it's his constituents with the conservatives and the Republican Party that are literally cutting the thread and letting him fall. He has long been toast. Doug Hay, a longtime Republican operative from North Carolina, told The Independent on Thursday via text message. He noted how the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump's campaign was very nervous about how the story impacts him. And that's another thing, because 45 is in hot water with him making that pets and dogs comment. That put him in a very bad spot. And now to have this, he's like, I can't have 2 anchors holding me down. And you've seen how Mark Robinson is built. That man is built like a wrecking ball, much less an anchor. So he's like, okay, I can do away with Mark Robinson. I can easily cut ties with him. Remember, in the live, he wasn't invited to one of 45's recent rallies. He wasn't invited to speak. His name wasn't even mentioned during that rally. And the rally happened in Mark Robinson State. Go figure. And I don't even think it was far from where Mark Robinson lives, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. The extent of Robinson's reported comments was shocking by itself. Aside from his comments about racial demographics, which are reportedly quite extensive in their own right, the North Carolina Republican opined about loving adult content involving Haughty Americans, despite publicly being an opponent of transgender rights and same-sex marriage. There were also comments made by Robinson-linked account describing the poster's own sexual tendencies and even claiming a sexual relationship with his wife's sister. Now, somebody in my comments in that live that I did actually mention that, but the reason why I didn't acknowledge the comment was because I didn't know if that was true or not, because no other publications that I was reading from mentioned that. But now, in this article that I'm reading, it does mention it. So shout out to the person who made that comment in my thread, no, not my thread, in the chat during the live that I did on Sunday, because y'all actually was on it. See, y'all was knowing stuff that I didn't know, but now I know. Like I said, this guy is a deviant. There were also comments made by already read that part. Beyond that, the poster alleged to have spied on women and girls changing in the locker room without their knowledge, which we discussed in the live. Publication of CNN's investigation was a nightmare scenario for Robinson, who was already trailing his opponent Josh Stein in the North Carolina gubernatorial race by the high single digits, according to most polling. Now Trump's campaign, which had endorsed him, is publicly backing away from him at the worst possible time. Trump himself did not invite Robinson to a rally in the state on Saturday, which I talked about again in the live, and I just mentioned it about 2 minutes ago, with reports indicating that his campaign knew the story was coming. North Carolina is a key battleground state in the presidential race as well, that Trump won by less than 2 percentage points in 2020. Kamala Harris, who took over the top of the Democratic ticket in July, has shrunk her opponent's lead to a similar margin in available polling since entering the race. And shout out to Wallow J, because when he came up and spoke, he mentioned how North Carolina is a battleground state, and with all of this stuff going on with Mark Robinson right now, this could really hurt the Republicans come November the 5th, because he got battleground states. If North Carolina does not show red as far as the conservatives and Republicans winning that state, and it shows blue, that's not going to be a good thing. And they're going to link it back to Mark Robinson and all of his shenanigans. So that was the entire article right there. Again, I don't feel bad for Mark Robinson at all. I don't feel bad for his wife, because she's just as bad and fraudulent as he is, based on stuff I've heard about her and read about her, honestly, not even just heard. But this is exactly what he gets. This is exactly what Mark Robinson gets. And here's another lesson for Mark Robinson to know. When something goes out there on the internet, it's most likely going to stay forever. And like I said, he left a digital paper trail with that email address and that username. Those two things right there, in my honest opinion, is what did him in, because he used the same username on every platform he was on. He used the same email with every platform he was on, and both of them were attached to each other. So it wasn't hard for them to find. That's why I said in the live, it was not hard for them to break down and find out, oh, it's him, because he used the same name, username, and the same email for every single thing. He was dumb in that aspect. Why would you do that? Like I said, if you used a different username and an email for everything that you had, knowing you was going to create all of these accounts, then it would have been hard for them to figure out that it was you. And then some of the accounts that he had his picture next to it. Some of them even had his real name next to it. So he can sit up there and try to tell this narrative that, oh, the Democrats are coming after me, oh, that this is happening, oh, that this is fake, that this is no, all of it's real. It's all been backed up with facts. It's all true. Mark Robinson, you are done out here. Stick a fork in you. You are out of here, and good riddance. Because even though you are not a representative of my state, and thank God, I feel bad for the people in North Carolina who have to deal with your nonsense and had to deal with your crap for God knows how long as lieutenant governor. And Roy Cooper is actually smart to not leave that position and take up Kamala Harris on that offer to become the VP running mate, because then that means you would have got installed as governor. And the fact that he even had to extend and stay there as governor to longer than he probably wanted to make sure you did not get in says a lot about his character. He was like, oh no, I cannot leave my post and know that this guy is going to succeed me by default. He said, nope, I'm staying right here. And the thing is, I think Roy Cooper probably knows that Mark Robinson is going to lose either way before this came out. To be quite honest with you, I think a lot of people in North Carolina, and people in North Carolina can confirm this for me, knows that this guy was going to lose. Regardless if this stuff came out or not, but now that it has, oh, he's done. He is a shoe-in to lose.
Lord have mercy!